look at just the basics of setting this up, because this is something that I'm noticing is problematic still for some people. Good nomenclature. So good naming of files, good folder structure is imperative to being a graphic designer. Many of us as artists are super free-spirited and kind of all over the place. And so sometimes honing this in can be difficult. This happens at the front of the project, not at the end of the project. This, what you see right here, happens today, right? So today, the first thing you're going to do when we get done is you're going to set up a project folder. This is project 3, this is 115. That name should have your initials and ID and should be named similar to this. My content is stuff you will build over time. So these two flattened files that live outside of your folder, they're probably not going to happen for the next week or so, right? Maybe 2 weeks. All right. What is going to start today is the contents of this build folder. And the build folder is made up of a final sort of layout, but in some cases, like in my case today, you might have a layered file that's separate from your original so that you can work on particular parts and not be working on those parts along with everything else. So for example, here, this baby face PSD, right? I'm working on a baby version of myself that is compiled of parts of my daughter and parts of me, right? So I could build that all in my main file, but then my layers get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm really working on a thing that's like 2 inches tall. So having all of those excess layers in a huge file takes up way more space than doing it separately. So my build folder houses anything that's a Photoshop document that's layered. All right? And so if we want to make a connection here in our notes as to what this is, our build folder is a layered PSD, and anytime we're working in a layered PSD, we're working in RGB. Okay? So build folder houses layered PSDs that are RGB color. Originals. You're required to scan one item. That one item could be anything you want it to be. It could be a photograph. It could be an actual item. It could be a leaf. I'm looking at your leaves and I'm thinking it could be a leaf. It could be a crayon. It could be something, right? Anything you can put on the scanner bed. The only requirement for that scanned item is that you use the formula, which we'll go over at the start of next class. And that you actually physically scan the item, right? So you're scanning it with the formula so that you get the best possible scan, all right? Those originals, anything you scan, anything you download, anything you bring off your camera, anything that you're bringing in, you want to save here as your original, so you have it to go back to later on, all right? So I want to come here and I want to make sure that my naming is consistent. This is a required part of the class. So to get an A in directory, you need to be naming your files appropriately. And that appropriateness includes naming them with your initials and ID and then whatever it is that you're working on. All right? Edits are going to be very similar files, but these are all going to be files that I have no idea why that picture is in there. But okay. These are pictures that I've actually color corrected that I'm ready to use. So they're probably some, duplicates of what's in originals, but also just some color corrected images. So things that live in build and things that live in edits are generally going to be RGB space, right? They're edited images. They're ready to bring into that final file. All right. And then my build is going to be my actual file that I'm building and that I'm going to work from. So we're going to start from this one today.